All right, everybody. Continuing on with the insanity leading up to Halloween. Hey, what up, Matt? Interested in what you think of this. I'm not much of a fan. Felt a bit of a missed opportunity. Yeah, I don't watch this often, but when they announced it, I was pissed just because the thing is my favorite movie. And I didn't want anything like to do with the thing coming back and being redone in any sort of way. But then I found out it was a prequel. And then when it came out, I like Mary Elizabeth Winstead. I like what the hell's his name? I gotta look it up. Eric Olson, Eric Christian Olson. He's been in some great comedies and a whole bunch of movies. I like him in this. I like the performances. I like the attention to detail that they really like put a lot of work into, and you can tell that the director and writer and everything like this of this film had a lot of love for the thing because they really made sure the compound like was set up to be exactly how it is when McCready finds it and heads over there with the doc in the original John Carpenter's the original whatever. They paid a lot of attention to detail there, but it's all the effects. That's the biggest complaint me and many people have about this prequel is the effects work got just plastered over with CGI. And it doesn't look terrible, but it doesn't look great. I wish that's something a lot of us have been wishing for years is like a cut of the film without the CGI. Even if it still not doesn't look 100% finished with just the practical, I'd rather have that than have the CGI over it like we get in here. But aside from that, I think it's interesting. It's fun. I don't know how I feel about the whole rule that was never a thing, obviously in Carpenter's version, but when the thing takes you over and you don't realize it, if you have metal fillings in your teeth and they fall right out, and that's how they know it's a thing. I don't know about any of that. I don't really care for that, but it's all around. It's not too bad. Yeah, there was a game that Carpenter was involved with. I think they're doing it again. Like he wants to do another game that he's going to have like a big part of too, because that game is considered like canon at this point. Which I don't know how I feel about that either, because McCready, if I recall correctly, is in that game. So that means that gives up the whole ambiguity and the mystery of the end of the film that you don't know who's the thing, are they both the thing, or neither him and Child's the thing. That game kind of, if that's like canon, it's not for me because that takes all that away. Yeah, yeah, not another team movie. That's a hilarious movie. So good. Um, Mad to think Horror Express is from the same source material. Yeah, I don't think I saw Horror Express actually, so that's good. You're streaming so much, mate. Make sure you're getting enough water. Oh yeah, no, I just took a nice nap because I was kind of exhausted after yesterday, and then I was stressing over the connection issues and shit with Jeffrey, and I wanted to make sure that doesn't happen because as soon as this ends, I'm gonna probably take another nap for like an hour just to rejuvenate before we record later on with the whole cast and crew of He Sees You When You're Sleeping. Because we were gonna do it live, and then I didn't trust the connections and stuff, especially when we have 6 of us on there. So we're gonna pre-record it, and then I'm gonna premiere it. It's like an hour after we wrap. So probably if we go for an hour, we'll be done around 10, maybe a little later. I have no idea how long we'll go for, but whatever it is, probably have it up as soon as it ends. I can have it up like an hour afterwards and I'll premiere it, which that means Carpenter's the thing. Watch along might be pushed to like late night, like it's set for 11 p.m. right now. But if, yeah, it's looking like that might be like a midnight or a later start for John Carpenter's thing, depending on how fast I can get the premiere upload and set up and everything. And then the premiere to play out and everything, which I think some of them are going to try to be in the chat for the premiere if they can. Like the writer, David Lennox, the director. Who knows? Maybe Lauren or Caroline can hop in the premiere chat. But yeah, that'll be premiering later tonight. But yeah, I feel rejuvenated. All you need is a long nap. And also, I didn't do Evil Dead 2 last night, so that helped a fucking lot. But 2011, now we're getting a supposed like actual sequel to John Carpenter's The Thing. Like Carpenter announced that. I don't know how I feel about either. I feel like I'm back in the early 2000s when, or like late 2009, whenever this was announced, the prequel. Had the same exact type of feelings. I don't know how I feel about it, but let's start this movie because it's not anywhere streaming, which I know that. So I got to watch it on my laptop on Look Movie, which sucks. But boom, 3, 2, 1, go. If anybody wants to watch along as they come in, there is the Look Movie link right there. And I definitely got to lower that volume. There we go. Just bring the slider down on the volume nice and sensually, slow, and just bring it down to a nice, cool, calm level. That's exactly what you got to do. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, the one with Cushing and Lee. Okay, I might have seen it. That could be a good idea. I mean, that's something I might get on board with, but it has to be the script has to be very well written and not a whole bunch of pandering to, fans of the original movie and just a whole bunch of homages and stuff like that, which that's another thing this prequel does pretty well. Like it tells the prequel story, it tells what happens at the Norwegian camp, and aside from that, all the attention to detail, like how we see how the axe gets stuck in the wall that McCready finds later on in chronological events, all of that stuff is great. And those are the little homages and references that work. But if it's like a lot of modern movies, how they make a legacy sequel and stuff, and it's just littered with homages and callbacks, and it just feels like pandering. That's what I would be worried about. But that's a good idea. Like the idea of having the thing creature be in actual society in the sequel, and then it would just be the thing wreaking fucking havoc all over like Manhattan or something. I might be able to get behind that. It's like I said, the script is well done and everything. I think the cinematography in this movie is very, very good. Yeah, exactly. Where to go next? You only have those options. The isolation, which is the biggest thing with the atmosphere and stuff. I'm just gonna say the original because Carpenter's movie's not a remake to me anyway. It's that's the biggest thing in it is the isolation and the paranoia and the fear and just how they all turn on each other and they don't trust each other. Like all of that is perfectly done in Carpenter's film. So the isolated route they've perfected already. So that's probably where I would go is like and like to see it if it does have to happen would be like integrate the thing creature into some type of society where you could really go nuts with it. But honestly, I think they need to bring like Botine out of hiding or the hermit that he turned into and stuff. Have him come back and make his big return doing the practical effects and stuff and all the effects work for a sequel to the thing. That would give me so much more hope. If they announced and came out and said Rob Bottin will be returning to do the effects work on the sequel to the thing, I might jump on board just for that. But it's such a gamble. I mean, there's nothing that's I'm going to be 100% happy with because it's your favorite movie of all time. You're always going to have criticisms on every little tiny fucking thing. Hey, what up, Phil? How you doing, brother? One more day till Halloween. Halloween. Not even half a day. Even less. Synthesized. What's up, brother? I wish they have would have played up the language barriers or something. Yeah, I agree with that actually, because that was right there for them, like on a silver platter with the whole prequel here and them being at the Norwegian camp. I thought that the first time I watched this. I said they definitely could utilize that more, which they do. Like, there's definitely like a lot of them don't speak English, and you see some scenes from what I remember. It's been a probably a year maybe since I've seen this movie, maybe more. But there are scenes like that, like, and there's a long scene I remember when they're partying, the Norwegians, they're getting drunk and they're singing this song, like they're drinking song for way too long. That shit goes on for a while, but they could have played on it more because you don't. That's one thing you don't have in this film compared to Carpenter's, and of course you're not going to reach the same level. But I feel like you don't have that same feeling or anywhere near the same feeling of the isolation, the paranoia, the fear, the not trusting anybody around you. But I do like Mary Elizabeth Winstead, who is our main protagonist here. And I said Olsen, I really like. Has anyone ever seen Fired Up, the comedy with Eric Christian Olsen? And I always forget the other guy when they go to the cheerleading camp. They're football players. They go to a cheerleading camp, and one of their sisters is a cheerleader, so she helps train them and stuff. And then they go into the cheerleading camp just to like fuck all the cheerleaders there, like for the summer. That is such a great comedy. It's so underrated. If you guys haven't seen Fired Up, check that movie out. That is a definite sleeper comedy from late 2000 or something like that. Wonder if he could direct. Who, Carpenter? Like if he directed the sequel? I mean, that would be another bonus. I mean, partially because have you seen Carpenter's films? Like in the last, handful of them over the years. I don't know. But I mean, if it's a sequel to a thing and it's one of the greatest horror movies ever from most people, and it's Carpenter, and he knows how big of a film that was. So I'm sure if he did get the chance to direct a sequel, he probably would put a lot more into it than he has his last handful of movies. So I mean that, but as I said, like Rob Bottin coming out of Hermitry, new word now if it's not one, would be the thing that would make me say, all right, I'll check it out. Like just to have Rob Bottin back and his effects work. I don't care how old he is. Kick that aging motherfucker right into the set. Like start working on shit now. I know we had to treat you for exhaustion like a dozen times when we were filming this in '82. You still got it at whatever age Rob Bottin is now. You too, Phil. I am good. I took a nice nap earlier leading up to this. And then we got I'm pre-recording the interview with the big panel with Caroline Williams and Lauren Marie Taylor and everyone involved with that new movie at 9. I'll have the premiere up as soon as I can right after that, as soon as we end. So the thing, John Carpenter's watch party of the thing, is going to probably end up getting pushed to like a late night. It's already at 11 p.m. and I know it's probably not going to reach that. So and make it for that. So probably be around midnight, 12:30 even maybe or so, 1 o'clock in the morning for Carpenters. I'll give updates on the channel as the night goes on. Everyone's saying hello. Waffles, what's up, man? Happy Halloween Eve to everybody. How you doing, Waffle? Yeah, no, exactly. Before you came in, since there was just Matt in here, and he asked me what I thought of this, being that the thing's my favorite movie ever made, and I don't mind it. It's just that's the biggest thing is the effects in this and the CGI because they had the practical effects, and I've seen some behind the scenes and everything like that, and it looks damn near pretty good. But then the studio painted over a lot of it, like a lot of it with CGI. And that's the biggest issue I have with this movie. Yeah, it's funny. This guy. So Mary Elizabeth Winstead is like, what is she, a marine biologist or something like that? Something that, yeah, that she'll be able to deal with the specimen that they found. But they end up taking her on an airplane or a helicopter and taking her to Antarctica. So hard to say that goddamn word, Antarctica. I'll fuck that up later for the thing watch. And great cinematography. I mean, it has that cold feeling still, just like the original. Not as cold. It's not like you can, like in the original, you can, Carpenters, you could feel the cold coming through the fucking screen, through all of it. Pretty good, bro. Still working. Sucks. All right. Hope you get off work soon. That way you can enjoy the night. But yeah, we need a cut, like a director's cut or whatever type of cut, where we don't have any of the CGI that covers all the practical stuff in this. Yes, that's it. Thank you, Stephen. Nicholas D. Augusto. He's great too. And yeah, just the fact that you've seen Fired Up, that points, man. Not many people have seen that movie. And that's like a favorite underrated comedy of mine. Also, Stephen, I'm glad you made it in here because I know, yeah, exactly. You just brought that up. We're going to be pre-recording it. So we're not going to be doing it live just because of the connection issues I had yesterday with Jeffrey. I didn't want to have any of that with 5 people and myself on. So we're going to record it at 9 p.m. Then as soon as we're done, I'm going to upload it to the channel and it'll be a premiere. And hopefully some of them might be able to hop in the premiere chat. That way people want to ask some questions and stuff. So we're going to also, because we want to keep it pretty much all about this new film, He Sees You When You're Sleeping, that they're promoting. So I know that if we did it live too, that there'd be a lot of people, rightfully so, because I got a million questions too, just for Caroline alone. But I know people would start asking questions in the chat about Texas Chainsaw 2 and asking Lauren about stuff and the quiet nature, in a violent nature, and all of that and stuff. So yeah, I actually told them, I said it might be better to do it pre-recorded than up it. That way if there's any connection issues, I can just throw the video and editing software and cut that part out quick. But the premiere will be up probably an hour and a half tops after we end. So probably like 10:30, 11 Eastern Standard. And I definitely will tell Caroline. Yeah, I know you've told me. And thanks for the invite to that group on Facebook. I got the notification that I joined last night. Thank you. Especially, I mean, if we have a great time and shit, then maybe I'll have Caroline on by herself, another time in the future. Then we can talk whatever, go back, because I want to talk to her about Texas Chainsaw 2 alone, because that movie is a favorite of mine, my favorite in the series. I have mixed feelings on the craft here too in this prequel. I mean, it looks all right, it looks cool, but it's very different from the original. And again, I'm going to keep saying the original. You know what I mean? Carpenter's. Let me see who directed this. I always forget this dude's name. I think it's like a weird long ass name. Yeah, here it's Matt. I don't know. It's Mathis, but a J before that ending S. So I don't know how the fuck to pronounce that. Whatever Van I'm not even going to try the whatever. It's a really confusing name, the director is. But I don't know what he's done otherwise. Let me see. Says he's best known for he's Dutch, so that explains me not knowing how to pronounce any of that shit. Director, writer, and producer, best known for directing The Thing 2011. So yeah, I don't know if he's done anything really else. He's done a short before that, before this film, and he did a feature in 2020 and a mini series that's this year. So not that much, which is impressive. Oh yeah, I'll definitely do that. Like once we finish recording, which like I said should be I don't know. I can't say it won't go longer than an hour because it all depends how it's going and stuff, but probably around an hour, give or take. So around once I finish recording and I know how long it'll take to just upload it and start the premiere, I'll put it in that group too. Yeah, yeah, you got it exactly. All those letters, those vowels and consonants next to each other. I got the junior part. That's the easy part. I got that. Yeah, you're close. It's like JS or some shit at the end. I do like the whole idea though of them finding this creature and this scientist here is a good, great actor. I forget this guy's name who plays like the evil fucking dude who just cares about making money off this discovery. He runs this whole expedition. He's good in this. All the acting's good in this. All the Norwegian actors and stuff, they're all great in this. Like most of the stuff is really good and well done in this film. It's just the effects, man. That's the biggest problem. And when you have a prequel to John Carpenter's The Thing, the effects should be the best thing there. It should not be the biggest issue with the movie. And that's exactly what happened. Yeah, autocorrect hates his name. I'm sure it does because I hated it just trying to pronounce it. That's why every time I do a review on a Japanese movie, some of you guys know, I just say the stars a bunch of Japanese people and I throw up a Wikipedia picture with all the names. And that's it. I'm not trying. But then a lot of times I do try anyway. I fail miserably. The comedic effect sometimes. One thing though is in this movie is the set dressing and the attention to detail and continuity and stuff. They did an excellent job. That I can praise all day long. And I love the ending, how it literally leads right up to the beginning of Carpenter's film with that one Norwegian, and they're trying to shoot the dog and stop the dog because they know what the hell that dog is, and leads right into the beginning shots of Carpenter's. That's great. The ice block looks exactly the same. Like, great job with the details. And this Norwegian who this is the guy who survives, yeah, at the end, right? With the red beard and the red hair. Could be like Ginger a bit, but not as good of a beard. Yeah, Matt mentioned not another teen movie earlier. Pearl Harbor too, yeah, he was in not another teen movie's funny as hell. The pacing's very good for this film, actually, from what I remember as well. Oh, this is where Mary Elizabeth Winstead, I forget her character's name in this. She gets chewed out by the lead dickhead expedition guy. Don't you ever contradict me in front of people again. This guy's like real pissed. She's gorgeous too, Winstead. Always thought that. Very attractive woman, great actress too. Doesn't have a lot of range, but what she does do, I always enjoy. I like too how they pay attention to the fact that if you're digging into ice like this, drilling into it, you have to be so cautious and make sure you could split the whole thing, and that's the whole thing that they pay attention to here. I mean, they kind of overreact a bit. Because the drill, like it hits it through the first layer of ice and almost hits the creature, the specimen there. And he has to pull it out slowly. Pun intended. This is when they're all seeing this creature and freaking out, basically. I've never seen anything like this. And this one guy in that flew them over on the helicopter, like a little bit ago, right at the beginning, that says the last thing you want to do. She's the only woman here, I think. There might be like one. There's one or two others. Yeah, the one next to her here, and she gets taken over by the thing later. I think that's it. And he says, like, the last thing you want to do is be stuck in Antarctica with a bunch of horny Norwegian dudes. And he's absolutely right. Two women. Yeah, that's as far as I remember. Unless there's definitely not five more that like jump out of a closet at some point in the movie and like they're partying and shit. And I like how with this going back to what Sin said about the language barrier and stuff, they do a decent job here with the Norwegian. Like they don't show a lot of the subtitles for the Norwegian characters. They just let them talk in Norwegian and not put the subtitles of what they're talking about. So that does help a little bit because you as a viewer don't know unless you speak Norwegian what they're talking about. So that can add to the paranoia a little bit, but they could have done so much better. And now they started their little festivities with singing their drunk ass song that goes on forever. You'll probably hear it. Now I'm thinking of now I'm thinking of Ginger Ninja every time I see this character with the big red beard. And this guy goes back into the room when they're partying because they just found the discovery of a lifetime. This guy goes into the room with the ice, which I would never go near that thing alone. Great shot too, when the thing just like breaks out of the ice. This guy's freaking out. He's like, "Oh, something just happened." No one believes him. The more as it keeps going on, and we're 23 minutes in only, the more I remember the positives of this film. Ooh, there we go. Good shit, Waffles. We're complete. Thank the fuck God. Did the fuck God help you? Because he's helped me out of a few jams throughout life. Hey, what's up, caveman? Yeah, man, I know. Yeah, rest in peace to David. I didn't know him well. I knew who he was, but I know a lot of people that were close with him. So I mean, my heart goes out to all you guys. It's terrible that we have to have another passing in our community. We just had Dave gone 6 months ago. So Chris told me about it. Chris, the slasher dude last night. He broke the news to me. He was really torn up about it. It sucks. Weird too. Same name, two Daves. David's. That's weird. Probably should have posted the link of this in Instagram. Oh yeah, then this dickhead shows up before the thing pops out of the ice, and this guy's all in there alone. Then another guy comes and scares the shit out of him. I would have knocked this guy out. You don't scare somebody. And great shot when he jumps out of the ice. You got the husky dogs and stuff going crazy too. They heard the thing crash out of that ice block. The other one was one of my best friends in this community was Dave at Savage Zombie Reviews. He's been gone about 6 months now, a little over 6 months. Had sudden heart attack out of nowhere. 42 years old, and had to get airlifted to Liverpool. He was from the Isle of Man, and had ended up doing like a 13-hour surgery on his heart. He had some strokes and slipped into a coma, and that was it. It was like a few day thing, and then he was gone. So 42 years old. So fucking sad. Yeah, Dave was one of a kind. I miss him every day. Every time I go on YouTube, and so I'm glad that I still see old videos and reviews and shorts of his pop up while browsing YouTube. That's one of the benefits of what we do. Us people with channels. God forbid anything ever happen. It's a rare circumstance where you could see and hear that person, forever afterwards. Because Dave had a few hundred videos at least. But yeah, it sucks. I heard it from Chris last night. Anytime you hear something like that, it's awful for everybody. Is there like a GoFundMe or anything like that for his family or anything like that going around? If there is, somebody get it to me. I'll start posting it all over. How old was he? Because I said I've never talked to him personally, but I can picture him in my head. I've seen his channel a few times. I've definitely watched him a few times, which now makes me think like, damn man, I wish I would have got to know this guy. Yeah, they do a good job with the cold feel to this. Like I said, you can't match Carpenter's version, but you could still feel. You watch this movie, you could feel the cold. That's why I get blood work done every year. And yeah, me too. I've always been that way too. I mean, even though in my younger years I was a wild motherfucker and definitely didn't give a shit about anything. I mean, 36 now. Yeah, going forward, you gotta just always just check up and get physicals, get blood work done. Just you never know. Here's a question for everybody. Maybe someone could finally give an answer that I've never heard before. Because we all know burning the shit out of the thing destroys it and could kill it. Just like 99.9% of every creature, alien, bad guy, evil human being, slasher guy, fire can burn the shit and kill anything except for the blob from the blob. He's weak to the cold. I can't think of anything else. Actually, Angus Scrim, the tall man from Phantasm, they don't like the cold. I say they because there's definitely multiple tall men, but I can't think of any other ones. If you guys can think of any other horror films, monsters, anything that fire doesn't work on, let me know because they know the rules. They scream and burn that fucker like 9 times in the last 10 seconds. Cool sound effects, cool too. They light it up with a flare. You hear it screeching. And then, of course, like brilliant human beings, they have to examine the remains before it's completely burnt to a crisp. They had to put the fire out. Yeah, Wolfman. Actually, I'm not. I've never been a big fan of wolf movies. That whole subgenre. And I mean, the original Wolfman's a classic. I don't watch it often, but could he not die by fire? If so, then good call. Nicky Acox passed away almost 2 years ago. Yeah, I just put up a old video I did of the Cannibal Holocaust theme because Ruggiero Diodato. It's been 2 years yesterday since he passed. Fucking unbelievable director. Private parts everywhere. They're silly, too funny. Love werewolves. I love the idea of werewolves. It's just the whole subgenre. It's not a big subgenre too. There's not many like great werewolf films. There's like a few handful, maybe a dozen, 2 dozen. But it's definitely not my subgenre. Also, thank you everybody because we actually just blew past. Fell asleep earlier at almost 1,500 subscribers. I was like 20 short, and I woke up with 1,530 from a Simpson short Treehouse of Horror I uploaded. The most I got like 50 subscribers from that fucking short. So I mean, I woke up, I was like, what the fuck just happened? And like I always say, there's least effort things that there is, the things that always take off for some reason. You put weeks in editing shit daily here and there, and it's just like 100 reviews and just gets left behind. And we have Jinja is very close to 1,000 to the big 1K. I think he has like he's at 25, so he's like 75 subs to go. We were trying to get him by the end of Halloween over it. Still possible, in my opinion. I mean, I just said it. I just gained fucking 50 from one little short in like 7 hours. So you can't rule it out completely. And I told him that. So I think we can get him past 1,000 by the end of tomorrow night. If people like really like push it and post all over the place. That's right. Yeah, Nikki was in Jeepers Creepers too. Funny because I just was watching two last night. It was just like a autoplay that came on after on Tubi after the movie I was watching. And I said I can watch Jeepers Creepers too. I mean, I love the first one. I think the rest of the series is, especially three and going and Reborn, are train wrecks. Two is watchable at least. It has Ray Wise, which is like a legend, a hero to me. I love Ray Wise in anything. Well, yeah, that's true. Yeah, about the Wolfman being immortal. Well, I guess with vampires too, they're immortal, but I mean, the stake to the heart most of the time, like in the most popular lore, that'll burn them and they'll combust into flame. Same with going out in the sunlight. So it's still technically fire that kills them. So you might be right with the Wolfman. That's another one to add to the 3 creatures in the history of horror that I could think of that fire doesn't destroy. Dude, this guy's face looks fucked up. They're like taking this dude's face apart and like doing all tests on him. This one guy gets sick and just walks out of the room. This is where she starts. She doesn't get the idea here, but this guy who died, whatever, they're looking at his body and he has a titanium plate. Like he broke something a year ago, and so he had a titanium plate. So that like gives her the beginning of that idea that foreign objects in your body will fall out, like if you get transformed and taken over by the thing. Which I don't know how I feel about that whole idea. It's not terrible. How's the connection been so far? Has there been any lags or anything like that? Because I was pissed. I was really pissed at yesterday after the interview with Jeffrey because I knew there was the connection issues here and there. And I haven't had a single issue all of these watch parties I've been doing all this past week. Not a goddamn issue. And it had to be for that one. All right, good. Thanks, Phil. That's what I thought. It's. I mean, it's always going to be less chances of that when it's just one person on, because then you don't have StreamYard's connection that you're going into and using their connection in their server. And then you got the people that are from wherever the fuck all over the place. So you got a bunch of different connections coming in together. Sometimes it does not like that. I did find out that, but it doesn't matter now because it's we're recording it. But if there were any issue, because the director, the writer, and actor, and Lauren, the 3 of them are all going to be on the same screen because they're physically with each other. So that would definitely save on any possible issues with the tech stuff. They have this whole thing between Olsen's character and Mary Elizabeth Winstead. Again, don't remember her name in this. That there's like some type of romance there. Like they've been friends for a long time, but like they kind of have these like little flirty moments, but nothing really comes of it because he gets taken over in a little bit. Cool shots of him looking on the microscope and seeing the cells, like come together and assimilate with the other cells. It's a nice little callback to the computer program in the original. Now I gotta like listen for her name because I'm not gonna keep calling her Mary Elizabeth Winstead. Sorry, get 2 fucking names, the first and last name. Enough of these 3 name things. So much to say. What the hell's her name in this? Kate. Kate. Come on. Why didn't I remember that? Because I would have never remembered her name was Kate. But her name is Kate. And she's the smartest fucking person here in this entire compound. And what's Olsen's character's name? Adam. That's right. The rest of them are all like Norwegian names and shit, so I'm not trying that. Yeah, since you got it right before, right after I got it. Kate. I mean, whatever. Cool. But yeah, they paid a lot of attention to make sure this whole set at the Norwegian camp is at the end by the end of the movie looks identical to how it looks in Carpenter's when McCready and the copper end up going there. You see why the guy who slit his wrists and stuff in the chair. You see how that happens. You see the axe go on the wall perfectly, exactly where it was in Carpenter's. A bunch of other stuff that I can't remember too. That's right. They try to leave. Then don't they get told that they can't leave? And oh no, she ends up telling them she can't leave, that they can't leave because that the people on board could be infected or taken over. I think this is when she puts together the filling thing, like the teeth fillings falling out. Yeah, no, I absolutely I agree. And I know he didn't like it at first. Carpenter didn't like the original effect that Bottin did, and they ended up redoing it, and that's it was one of the first effects he did, I think, for the film. And he wasn't happy with how it looked, so he redid it, Bottin, and then it came out the version that we all know and have seen. And that's when Carpenter started feeling a lot more comfortable with the whole project. Like after seeing Bottin's work, now I know it's spelt like Botan, and I've heard people, not like official people, like people like talking about his career and stuff like in interviews or anything like that. Pretty sure you pronounce it Bottin, Rob Bottin, not Botan, because I've been saying Bottin my entire life, and no one has really corrected me on that. So if even if it is Botan, it's Bottin forever for me. So pretty sure that's it though. Yeah, thankfully they listen and they land this helicopter. You don't see Winstead anymore. I cut those first two unnecessary names out of that. Winstead's just fine. You don't see her much anymore. She was in Final Destination 3 around the same time as this. She was in this. She was in a decent amount of movies. She was big at the time. And then she just disappeared. See, that don't look bad on the helicopter. The one dude's face splits open and then the body splits open. The shit comes spewing out of it. That looks okay. And it doesn't look like there's as much CGI on that. That's right. The helicopter crashes after that. And Kate says something's wrong. Yeah, something's wrong when a helicopter spiraling, spinning towards the ground far away and then explodes. Something definitely is wrong. It's a stupid line. I don't know about that. Then they got to go looking for the helicopter, right? We got discount windows here working with the radio. I mean, it doesn't look like Ginger at all, but it's just being a redhead and having a big red beard. I'm just going to refer to this guy as Ginger from now on in the movie. And the radio's dead. That's one thing you can never. You could pay me all the money in the world to say, I will give you all this money. You got to go work in some outpost in the middle of fucking Antarctica where we have no idea what's out there. Like, that's one of the strangest places on Earth. You're not allowed to visit 99.9% of that continent. There's a ton of conspiracy theories for why. You couldn't pay me all the money in the world. for that exact reason. For not the alien, that's above and beyond. Just the radio not working and getting a huge storm and crazy fast winds, and you're chilled to the bone. You got to stay in there to keep warm. Get the hell out of here. Yeah, that too. Since just getting there is fucking dangerous. And plus, there's so many like no fly zone areas that stretch for insane, godly amounts of distances all over the continent. Like there are some things that you can. There's like cruises that go like to Antarctica, like close by like the shore and the edge of it, and there's like some helicopter ride, but it's all pre-planned by the governments and shit where you can do that, and so it's all designated areas. 99% of the whole continent, they will not let you anywhere near. Oh, that's right. This other girl, she's like trying to make them all confused, but she's taken over by the thing. I remember that looking cool when it rips out of her. I also think what it is, synth, when you mentioned with the language barrier, and we're talking about all the paranoia in the original one Carpenter. And fuck it. Well, I don't know why I gotta correct myself every time. I know what I'm talking about. You guys know what I'm talking about. In Carpenter's, it's because we spend a lot more time with the characters in that film, and they're all lovable characters. Like that's my favorite cast of characters in a movie. They're so genuine, and you get to spend time with each of them, and they all have their own little quirks and stuff. Like Niles, when no one's in the kitchen when he's told to turn the radio down, a superstition playing, and he says, "Yeah, he will," but he turns it up like instead, like a "fuck you" gesture. Like those little ass things, and him and Palmer sharing the room, and they've seen this already. The whatever VHS they're watching, they're passing the joint. Niles already has his hand like waiting for the joint to be passed. Like they've been doing this day in day out for who knows how long. You don't get that in this. There's too many characters, but most of the Norwegians and stuff are pretty background characters. But I think that's why another reason it doesn't work out as well. Yeah, exactly. You know who they all are. You know you're giving a few traits about each of them, even if they're not, the not Kurt Russell and Childs and the bigger known characters, the better known characters, and the more favorable characters. All of them have, and in such a short amount of time too, like the first half hour of the movie or less, you know every single one of those characters, and you feel for them too. Like this woman here that Kate's talking to that's about to get ripped apart, that she's the thing. I don't know anything about her. I don't have any care in the world for her. Like so when it happens, it's like, all right, cool. It doesn't hit you hard. Yeah, I've heard that. Like, there's so many conspiracies about Antarctica. With that, it used to not even be there, and it used to not be covered in ice. There's maps that go back like thousands and thousands of years, like before what are the Sumerians, which was what, like 6,500 years ago, which is where big archaeology, quote unquote, likes to say is the oldest civilization, like advanced civilization. So there were maps predating that, and then predating people coming to the Americas and the continent and stuff that showed Antarctica, and it had no ice. It was just like lush green and shit, and then it started drifting, or a cataclysmic event happened and relocated it. This and then the alien bases and aliens there in Antarctica. There's so much. All right, here she's getting the thing out of her, and it doesn't look terrible. It looks all right. but the CGI is glaring in certain parts, and it really is the biggest issue with this movie. All of that right there, that does not look good. The little tentacles and stuff, just like in the first movie, with the little small tentacles that come out of the dog before those legs come out of it. They could have done the same exact effect, but they didn't. They covered it up with CGI and added CGI tentacles. Exactly. I mean, I'm not the best with remembering names at all in movies. I remember people's names. Like if I met somebody on the street once 20 years ago and had a conversation, I'm great with faces, I'm great with names. I'll remember that. But if it's a movie that is not like a favorite or the characters aren't really memorable and stand out, I won't remember their names. That's why I give little nicknames in all my reviews to people. Usually like that the old bitch or, the fuck machine guy, all those little nicknames, they all come from somewhere. But that is a glaring sign. If I don't even remember Kate's name, I don't really care for a character that much, despite her being the main character in this, and I do like Winstead. See, now because I'm, like, being hyper focused on the effects and the CGI. Because besides, like, a few shots just here in this past scene with the woman turning into the thing, there's a few shots the CGI does not look good, but it doesn't look terrible or, like it holds up, it's alright, I can buy it. But as it goes on, I remember there's more and more that just got plastered over the practical effects. Nice little homage to the original. They're all outside in the snow burning the body. This is where she releases her theory. It's an organism that attacks its prey, takes over its cells, and becomes it as a perfect copy. Which is something I'll bring up like briefly here, but I'll go into later in late night when we do Carpenters tonight or early morning tomorrow, whatever it is, whatever it turns into. Do you think that they know they're the thing when they're the thing, or do they have no idea until they're threatened? The thing's threatened in a way, and it has to come out to defend itself, and that's when it ends up ripping out of people and doing its whole thing. I tend to lean towards that they don't really know they're the thing until the thing starts ripping them apart, and then they're probably the last words are no before they're like they have no head or something. But that's where I've always leaned. But I can see the other side of the argument that it could be an more intelligent life form than we know. Maybe it is like playing almost like playing possum, but just knowing it's there, knowing that it can't give itself away, but then once it's threatened, then it has to come out. Because the whole fillings thing is like the blood test equivalent for in this movie, which of course you can't compare those two. But now that I think about it, though, it's not too far fetched with the whole teeth fillings and stuff falling out when you get assimilated by the thing. If it's but if it's copying you like perfectly on a cellular level and stuff, I mean, I get the idea behind it that any foreign object, it's not a cellular, it's not part of the human body, so it wouldn't assimilate that. But they never explain the rules, thankfully, about how the thing what it is, how it works, or anything like that. So why can't it just become 100% perfect copy and just take over inorganic materials too? Take over silver fillings and then just have that there too. I don't know. You could poke holes in it, but for the movie, it's better than I remember. That's a was Deckard a replicant kind of question. Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, I do like having that little not debate, but exploring those two sides of it now and then. Anytime I talk about the thing, I can't remember now. Like in this movie, if there's a scene that maybe hints that because on the yeah actually on the helicopter a bit ago when they were about to fly the two people out. And then she stopped them and they said, oh, no, well, all right, we're going to land. We're going to put this back down. Then the guy rips out of the guy's face and he attacks the other dude and the helicopter crashes. He was acting sketchy as shit. Like he was biding his time, not saying anything, waiting for them to get out of there so that they can reach civilization and the thing could spread like wildfire. So that scene kind of hints that it might be aware that it's the thing, but you can go either way with it. It's fascinating to think about, as long as it doesn't happen to you, like personally. See, everything they say in this movie is just we got to burn it. We should burn them. We got to burn it all, burn it to the ground. If little do they know, if they were in the Blob movie, no, that shit would work against them. They'd be fucked. If the Blob was in Antarctica, I mean, no, the Blob would be fucked. What am I talking about? The Blob would be able to survive there, so they'd be safe. It's a fun way to look at it. You can't have a Blob movie in the setting of the Thing movies. The hell just tagged me in a reel. It's a movie too. Somebody I talked to about doing this a movie a while back. Oh, maybe it actually came out. It has nothing to do with anything right now, but there was a movie that somebody I was talking to last year. They were trying to get made, and I think Felissa Rose. They were trying to get in it. I just got a random message from him, so it looks like maybe that's a sign that the movie's finished. Yeah, exactly. I mean, The Blob '88, I think, is one of the greatest remakes. I think has one of the films with the greatest practical effects too. I mean, it doesn't quite get as close to the Thing, and maybe even I don't know. I'd probably put it tied with Day of the Dead because that's another movie that I think has some of the greatest practical effects work. So probably be The Blob a little bit above Day of the Dead, but a little bit below Carpenter's The Thing. But that was the year I was born, '88. So always happy to rep the Blob movie, '88. Actually, they did a better job in this movie with the selling how fucking cold it is there versus Carpenter's than I remember. Because yeah, watching this, I feel cold just watching. It's same with with Carpenter's. Also, I think like the shapes that the Thing takes in this movie, I feel like they're more akin to like something you would see like mutations in like the Resident Evil games and series than what we see in Carpenter's version. Like, yeah, the weird ass Lovecraftian looking creatures and stuff at times, all the forms that it takes. But it's you can't that's why it's Lovecraftian. You can't really describe what it is, and it just has a totally different look, like the things forms in this movie, and not just because of the CGI either. But I mean, I guess you can't beat the defibrillator chest caving in, and you can't beat the spider head, and you can't beat the dog scene, and Palmer and the blood tat, all of that. So I guess looking at it that way, I mean, anything is not going to really hold up. I remember Olsen's transformation looking decent if it wasn't for all the CGI put over it. You just put it in perfect words. That's exactly what I was trying to get to. Yeah, exactly. It perfect. Like they are much more. The creature is much more reactionary and it's out of self preservation in Carpenter's. This one is definitely more just like creepy monster looks to them. So I don't know. It's not bad, but I definitely like these look like they're more supposed to be more intimidating fucking atrocities coming after these people in this movie when it you don't get that feel in Carpenter's. Like you said, they don't the thing only shows itself and reveals itself out of self survival. Oh yeah. Now here's the blood test scene where we get a Mary Elizabeth Winstead going around with a flashlight looking at everybody's mouths for missing fillings or to make sure they have fillings. Oh yeah, absolutely. Phil. Then it's a very Lovecraft film, the thing. Oh, is this that's right. Is this where Olsen's character, he's the thing now and he's missing the fillings and now he transforms, right? Yeah. Yeah, because she's visibly distraught. And see the way he's acting now, it seems like he's aware. It seems like the thing is aware because she said, just go sit over there. And he sees that she's trying to hold in panic. And he just looks at her and gives her like a suspicious look, like, all right, I'll go sit over there. Like it's calculated. You don't see that in Carpenters. Like just from that scene and the helicopter scene, I feel like in this one they more lent into they leaned that way. That maybe the thing isn't that intelligent that it's able to blend in and not reveal itself and is conscious, knows exactly what it's doing. That's right. Then they think it's this dude, but I'm pretty sure I remember he opens his mouth and he's fine. 17 likes. Yeah, and thanks, Phil, for mentioning that. I actually saw like right around when we started, like 10 minutes in, we're already at like 12 or something. I said, damn, wow. 12, like 10, 15 minutes in, that's pretty good. I think this was the best decision since I was so busy with the first half of October that as soon as I got back from Mexico, I said, I gotta just go with the high gear here. So I think the double watch alongs and stuff were definitely worth it and a lot of fun. Just totally different than, doing recorded reviews and editing, which is the part that drives me fucking insane sometimes, the editing, because I'm a perfectionist and I'll never stop. And then I'll be burnt out. This is just hanging out here with you guys. I don't have to fucking edit anything. But we will be back to regular recorded reviews and all of that November 1st. Maybe like second week November or so, because I'm going to take a few days break after Halloween. I'll just throw up a Treehouse of Horror short and stay up like 10,000 views for the 3 or 4 days I take off. But it is important. Like it came up in the stream. Was it you, Waffles? I think who brought it up? Yeah, because you were on like a 9-month break, and we were talking about like how important it is. Like if anybody who has with anything, I mean, just like how they say, everything in moderation. I've never really listened to that like most of my life, but it's true. Like we're not supposed to be on fucking social media 24/7 all day every day. Like that's just not how human beings in our DNA. That's the thing that just happened as we started thinking we're gods and inventing shit as time went on. Just a few hundred years ago, we were hunting deer and bear and shit and picking food and hunting for it. That's why America, especially, fucking is so fat. Like 80% of like obesity is 70 something percent. I just heard the stat like the other day. It's really insane. Oh, thank you very much, Stephen. That means a lot, man. And no, Pat's a great guy. I've known Pat almost since because I started the channel 2.5 years ago, about maybe a month over, and I met him like maybe 3 4 months into it. So I've known Patrick a decent while now, and yeah, he's a great guy. We had one little incident back in the day, like with the Midnight Society, when Al and him used to host, and then me and Al were actually closer. And Al introduced me to Pat. That's how I met Pat actually. And the three of us did the Midnight Society for like an episode or two, and then Al had to stop doing it because he got a promotion. And then it was just me and Pat who didn't know each other as well. And then there was a little thing with us with scheduling, and that I'd missed a stream. And then I was with my daughter, and I said, "Hey, could we reschedule?" And it just wasn't working out with us doing the show together. But we fixed that. Like man, I said, "Get your ass on StreamYard," and we talked face to face, and never had an issue since. Great fucking person. Excellent interviewer too. I mean, if there's two people that I've learned the most from since I started my channel, like when it comes to the whole interview process of reaching out and all of that, it Pat and Gareth at Video Tasties. See, like this scene here where they're the Norwegians and then the ones who speak English, they're pointing flamethrowers at each other and shit. It would be so much better though if one of the Norwegians didn't speak English, to go back to the whole language barrier thing. If they were just yelling at each other in different language, they can't understand each other at all, that would have worked so much better. But you have the one guy on the Norwegian side who's like translating what they're all screaming and like saying to them in English. So it takes away a bit from what it could have been. Are you afraid of the dark? Are you talking about the show back in the day, or are you asking if I'm afraid of the dark? Because I'm not afraid of the dark. I actually fucking prefer the dark to brightly lit places. I thought that you were talking about the show, but yeah, I grew up with that show. I mean, I didn't watch it as much as Goosebumps because like Goosebumps was my like book version equivalent to Halloween and Friday films of horror that got me into horror. It was Halloween and the Friday movies that got me into that, and then the Goosebump books were huge, like in the early '90s when I was a kid, and they used to sell them at the book fairs and school. Scholastic Publishing, I remember the exact publishers, and they used to have books sales and stuff in the school in our schools. And I used to get all the Goosebump books. And then they had the show that was on for a few seasons. I watched that like after school for years, the whole time it was running. So I have a lot more nostalgia with Goosebumps than Are You Afraid of the Dark? But I definitely watched it a lot too back in the day. Ah, yes, Midnight Society. And yeah, I've always liked that reference and that whole name. And I always confused it early on because we had there's the Midnight Society show that it's always done, and then there's the Midnight Hour, the group with Katie and Mr. Bones and Hobbs and all them. So I always early on confused it because they both had midnight in it, and Pat was part of the Midnight Hour too. So he was had both things with midnight in it. This movie actually goes by pretty decently fast. It's already an hour and 10 minutes into this. Does not feel like an hour and 10 minutes. All right, here's another creature scene. That looks all right. It's just like I don't know if it's like it looks like a fucking face hugger from Alien. And it's doing the same shit. It's fucking its mouth, this guy. Like he's weird looking thing, spreads his mouth open and starts fucking him in the mouth or whatever he does. That looks all right. This looks all right too. This guy has some big ass tentacle pop out of his chest. Then that tentacle rips a part out of somebody's chest, and the blood is you could see the CGI there. That I hate. And like why CGI blood, unless it's like an effect that kill you're trying to do that you can't do practically, and it just makes a lot more sense, or it's cheaper to use CGI. I mean, fake blood is the cheapest shit that you can use. Anytime I see a lot of CGI blood, it really gets to me. We don't see a lot here, but just that one shot there. Because he has real fake blood on him after that effect. So I don't know the whole thing. And then we get a little equivalent of the spider head as the face fucker ends up scurrying away. And then this is Olsen who transformed. This would be really good looking, and it still looks pretty good, but you could see the CGI all over it. How he like merges face to face with the dude on the ground. Is that Olsen? Yeah, right. Yeah, it is, I think. Yeah, because I remember the behind the scenes with how they did that effect. And he just merges with them, drags them out the room. Let's see here. Yeah, Stein. I mean, as I'm not saying he ripped off Stephen King all the time, but he ripped off Stephen King like 75% of the time. But it still worked. I mean, he knew his audience. He was more for kids, and young adults, and he knew how to write that way and stuff. And he was great at it. I think he's even richer. He has more money than Stephen King, R.L. Stein, actually, if I remember right. Like I think he has like one of the highest. Like he's worth the most out of like most writers. And it doesn't surprise me because, like you said, he was putting out so much. Yeah, yeah. Are You Afraid of the Dark? And then, yeah, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. That was good too. You saw Goosebumps show till you were 14. Yeah, I used to watch Goosebumps all the time. That show is great. I've done reviews actually on a few Goosebumps episodes. I don't know why. 15 minute 15-minute, 20-minute friggin' episodes. And there was like the Night of Living Dummy 3 one that I talked about for 55 minutes for some reason. I don't know what. the hell I was on that night. I was really going into that two-part episode. Ah, shit. I gotta go to the bathroom. I will be right back. So you guys entertain yourselves. Have a great time. Don't do anything I wouldn't do, and don't fuck up the internet. Yeah, I just saw your comment, Phil. Yeah, it don't matter. I went to the bathroom and I had to run downstairs. And I had to smoke. That worked out. We have a half hour left. Dance naked, everyone. Show those private parts, Phil. Yeah, I mean, I used to be a bigger reader than I am nowadays. I don't read like I used to. You're supposed to do that for me, Phil. You're supposed to be. I got you. I'll wash your hands. That's what you're supposed to be doing. Yeah, I just saw that too. Look at me, you're the host now. I could have just put the stream link in there real quick and just had you hop on and take over for a few minutes. You could have been JT for 3 minutes. Which, trust me, it's not appealing. Are you saying you'll watch something else if I'm like? That's funny. Phil, we gotta play finish our run in Dark Souls 3 soon. It's been a while. I miss our long crazy nights of dying over and over again. See this too, the CGI here. It's cool what they do with it. They're like two different. They look like little dogs without heads, and they have the CGI red tentacles coming out that don't look good. But then they squish the tentacle heads together and become one thing. That's cool. Except that they get immediately burnt alive, that part of the thing, and is dead after that. You see it for 2 seconds. Like the ideas behind the effects here in this movie are mostly really interesting and good. It's just how they pulled it off, or were forced to put the CGI over it. Dude, I would be so out. I mean, I guess you can't go anywhere. I was gonna say I'd be so out of this place, but yeah, that's the whole point. You can't go anywhere. They don't have like helicopters just chilling there, like reserve helicopters, though. They explain that in Carpenter's when oh fucking why can't I even think of his goddamn name? See, it's my favorite movie. Can't think of his name. Uh, wow, I'm really blanking. Fucking Doctor Blair. There you go. When he goes and he fucks with the helicopter parts to build the little spaceship underneath where they lock him in that little shed outside. So they address that in that of why don't they try taking one of those helicopters and getting the hell out of there? They don't, to my knowledge, what I've seen so far, they don't have anything like that except for that one helicopter they were taking off with that then crashed and blew up. They don't have like I would have if I was in Antarctica and I had to be there for an extended period of time. The first thing I'd bring up to every superior there is like, yeah, you want to make sure there's like a dozen helicopters here, all like in different locations, maybe like half a mile outside the base and stuff in every direction you can imagine, just in case something happens in one part of the outpost. You'll lose 2, 3 helicopters. You got a whole bunch more on reserve that you can get out of there. Are you serious? Come on, you're gonna go somewhere and not have backup like transport out of there? They know radio is the only way that they can get a hold of help. And we saw in Carpenters how that helped them. Doesn't help at all. It doesn't do anything for them here either. They didn't really take as much precautions as they should have. It's so dark, this part of the movie, that I can't even see what the fuck is going on. And the sounds that the thing makes are nowhere near as good. That's another thing. Nowhere near as good as Carpenter's. It sounds just like generic monster moans. Not like when Bennings goes out and he's almost as fully assimilated and his arms like a tentacle and the like that echoed moan that's so creepy every time I hear it. Like, there's nothing on that level. But the merged creature here with Olsen's character and the other dude, where they merged together and it's crawling around, that looks all right. Looks pretty good. And I know a lot of that was practical, and you can see it. That's right. It crashes out. He lights it on fire. It crashes right outside the wall into the snow. That's where you see the CGI, where it's burning. And you would think burning, I mean, I guess they had somebody in prosthetics to do the scene. So it does make sense. You can't burn somebody alive to get the real effect. But I don't know. It still doesn't look that good. I mean, look at Palmer in the blood test scene when that he's on fire and the head splits open. And it's one of my favorite effects and shots ever. That looks great without any CGI, and it just doesn't look that good here. With like 20 minutes left, this I enjoyed this much more than I ever have. Like I've only seen this maybe 2, 3 times since it came out. I definitely have been picking up on a lot more things I enjoy or I can look past. Like I said earlier, the biggest thing and the biggest problem that you can have with anything, a sequel, a prequel, a remake, anything to do with the thing that's relating to Carpenter's version of the thing, the worst negative that you can have is the effects work and the CGI. It's just like makes no sense. That's I don't know how I feel about some of the ending here. She steals this car, right? This transport thing with this guy, and then they go to the spaceship. And then there's some questions I have about the spaceship too. It looks very different. It's completely underground in this, even though this is just hours before the events of Carpenter's movie. And when they find it, it's just the thermite charges that they see on the video that they've recovered from the Norwegian camp. They planted the thermite, they blew up the ground, and then you get the great shot when the few of them go and see the UFO in the ice, and they're taking the measurements and stuff, seeing how long it's been down there. Looks completely different in this movie. The ship looks much bigger. The color looks different. It doesn't look frozen, and it's like completely underground. Which what thing was creepy? I have a lot of thoughts and say a lot of shit fast. Yeah, they could have made some of these scenes a little bit lighter. I feel like they went a little overboard with the darkness. I mean, I get they're in the middle of Antarctica and it's going to be dark as shit like this, but like I can barely even make some stuff out in a few of these shots. Those cubs you see was supposed to be the captain of the ship. Yeah. It tries getting back to the ship, right? That's right. Is that what happens at the very end? It tries making it back to the ship to get away, and then they stop it. Like, I don't care for any of that. Oh yeah, yeah, that's great. All those sound effects. And then the defibrillator scene and Norris's head in the spider head. That's my favorite scene in film ever. And the screams and the sounds of Norris, and when his head's and fucking ripping apart and going down the table, and then the spider head, all the sound design is just perfection, like everything else in that film. This, I mean, it's not bad, the sound design and the sounds that they use, but it's not that good, especially if you compare it, which I try not to. But how can you not? Yeah, I'm pausing it for a sec. Yeah. All right, well, maybe it's not underground. It's just because it's fucking so dark. That's why. And we don't see the ship in Carpenter's in the dark. We see they go out in the broad daylight. It's such a deep hole, like that it's been buried under that because it's dark, you can't see the top. So it looks like it's like sunken underground. So I guess it's fine, but like the whole thing that happens at the end, yeah, I don't care for the ending here. Before the before Ginger Ninja ends up following the dog thing to the American base to lead into Carpenter's. Oh, that's right. Yeah, you see the ship and like machinery. Oh, that's right. She goes on the ship, and then you see like weird CGI effects and stuff like that. I don't know how I feel about all that. And she's carrying a torch, like a flame torch. She didn't think that she's going out in the darkness of Antarctica. You want to bring a flashlight or something? I don't know. Didn't have the time. Was freaking out. Deep hole sounds sus. No, yeah, it's a deep hole that this ship is in. This ship crashed so hard into the ground, it just ripped in a new hole. That's exactly what happened. It also makes you think of like, was the thing, whatever species is, wherever it's from, whatever that life form is. Yeah, this shit with the CGI glowy yellow and blue lights. That I don't know, I forgot what it even is. But is the thing what flew and crashed this spacecraft? Or was it like on was the thing on another alien spaceship, which is this ship, and they were transporting whatever the thing is, and then it crashed and it got out. You can go both ways with that too. And miraculously, it's fucking lighter and brightly lit, the screen here, when she's in this dark ass ship, and when she was outside that had lights like in the distance. Yeah, I don't like any of this CGI stuff here with the column. I don't know what it is. Is it like DNA, like alien DNA? Yeah, yeah, it is on the ship. He actually just smashed Kate in the head. Uh, it looks all right too. Again, like it's crawling with all these limbs and stuff, but it has the human head of the guy who took over that she took the buggy here with. But you could see the CGI over it right there, especially the face rips open, the tentacles come out. Looks all right. Looks Resident Evil-ish. Same with the sounds. That's right. She can't get out. There's like a grate there. That sounds cool. There's tentacles like that are trying to catch her, and it's just out of reach. It sounds like some of the sounds that you hear in Carpenter's, like when the little tentacles come out and it's a whoosh, like that type of sound. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. The blue and yellow, fucking big S cube. And maybe there's another one that hasn't come yet that I forgot about, but it's like a decently high up thing. She's like looking up at it. It's got to be like 10, 12 feet tall, but it's all mostly CGI. It does not look great. And that's right. Yeah, that so they do explain in this, I guess, what I was just saying. Did the thing life form get here itself, flying that ship, or was it transported? I'm pretty sure. Yeah, they hint at it here in the prequel that it was transported by whatever the crew was of this spacecraft, which is an answer I really didn't want Like an answer I didn't want an answer to that question. Yeah, you're right, yeah. I mean, yeah, again, I don't like that. It's not I don't fully like it, I don't know. I like shit being left open for interpretation in movies, especially movies like this. All of that CGI right here does not look good at all. The guy's face and shit, like, coming apart, none of that looks good. Oh, man, I really want a cut of this film without the CGI. Even if it doesn't look finished or anything like that, like, I still would love to see that. I've seen some behind the scenes stuff, but I wanna see the whole film, like, without all the CGI shit that was plastered over. Come on, Look Movie, stop freezing. That's why I hate watching shit on Look Movie. Because this was streaming, this movie, on, something recently in the last few months. I think it was on, Tubi, maybe. Maybe even Netflix. It was on Netflix. I can't think of many other films that Winstead did, like, after this time period, the early 2010s. I mean, the inside of the ship looks pretty cool, but did we really have to go into the spaceship, like, in this movie? Like, was that needed? I don't think so. Refresh the Look Movie page because it's friggin' freezing. We're 10 minutes left in the movie. We're at the climax. There we go. Perfecto. Gotta lower that again. All right, so she blew everything up. It's all good. Yeah, actually, Phil, I did that on purpose because I wanted to test something. Because I was sometimes on my laptop, I'll switch back and forth between the Wi-Fi. Like sometimes if I notice my Wi-Fi is dropping out, I have like like a cellular plan on my tablet, my laptop that I can switch to so that it is not a complete dropout. And I think that might be the cause of some issues. It wasn't with Jeffrey because that was definitely like connection issues and stuff like between me and him. But like other times now and then, like I noticed that, so I just turned it on when I refreshed the movie. And that's right when I said, I wonder if it's going to happen now. And then you just said it happened. So that narrows some stuff now. And then we have the helicopter chase basically plays out during the credits. And then you hear Ennio Morricone's score kicking. Dum, 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 dum. Great ending, though. The way they tied it to the beginning of Carpenter's is great. All right, that's enough. I don't want to get a copyright fucking claim with the music, but I can't not listen to that music at low volume. I know it is, Phil. That's I'm still doing that test here because if I switch it back, then the movie will end. I mean, the movie's over here, but I didn't want to take the cellular off because then I'd have to refresh the fucking Look Movie again. So that definitely narrows it down, and that's what I was thinking for certain, like when I freeze here and there on the occasional stream, that might be what it is. That even though the Wi-Fi drop is still on and it drops out a bit, the cellular is still like working also. So that must like fuck shit up, I guess. But there's a million things too. I noticed too, if you use a background like I have here, that can cause like freezing issues and stuff like that too, because you're always whatever your connection, you're having this fucking image behind you the whole time. Versus if I took it off, which is why I only use a background when I'm streaming, not on regular videos. All right. Well, it's basically over because they're shooting at the dog. But that was more enjoyable than any other time that I've watched this, which is like I said, not too many times. And you monster. Yeah. Now I see, now I can fix it. Now we can do a test. Watch. Because as soon as I turn off the network, you'll notice that it drops out for a sec. Watch. I see it already on my end, right? Well, not yet. But that's the thing, when you're streaming, I can't tell when my screen freezes up because I look fucking beautiful and fantastic. Looking at myself, you don't it looks like the other person you're having on is freezing up. And that's why it's so hard to pin down exactly what the friggin' issues are. Laddie, what is up, Laddie? So good to see the horror cat dad. Yeah, it's one of the best parts for sure. I mean, they did an excellent job with tying it right into the beginning of Carpenter's, and like, yeah, we were saying this whole time. I just the effects, man. I mean, they still look all right. They're not bad, but it's just it's a Thing film. It's a prequel to John Carpenter's The Thing. And you throw CGI all over the practical effects. I mean, that's the worst thing you can do, especially when they do a phenomenal job, like with everything else for the most part. Not everything, but I mean the attention to detail and the set dressing and then how it all looks just like the Norwegian camp and the state of it, like by the time we reach the events of the Carpenter's movie. All of that is really well done. And these people really cared about Carpenter's film and it shows. But the CGI, man, it's not good. Some of the shots some of the shots are all right. There's just a few that stick out as it keeps on going. That oh man, what was that? The real treasure of this thing stream was the friends we made along the way. Exactly. That's just like the whole journey of the channel here. It's all about just having fun and hanging out with cool people. Hello, Philip. Yeah, it is the worst thing they could have done. And all the gore. Yeah, definitely goes without saying. All right, so what time is it? 7 almost, 5 to 7. So I have 2 hours until the whole panel interview. So probably going to rewatch the movie because I'm not relying on my memory from 5 days ago or 4 days ago. Definitely going to watch the screener again, which they were awesome to send me that. It was actually a really fun movie. I could say this: if you watch He Sees You When You're Sleeping, it comes out November 1st. If you go into it expecting like as a big slasher fan, like I am, and a lot of us are, and in a slasher we want great kills. The kills aren't that good in this movie. They're not great. There's one or two that look pretty good, but if you're going into it looking for like Hatchet or even Art the Clown level kills and gore, you're going to be majorly disappointed. But it doesn't matter as much because the script is very well written, and the writer of the movie also is the lead actor in it, and he does a decent job of hiding his British accent because he's from London. and he plays American, and he puts on a whole American accent, and he's a witty character. I really liked his character. And then Caroline Williams plays this insane aunt that he ends up, because this kid Chester ends up on Christmas, and a pure opening of this movie is just straight homage to Silent Night, Deadly Night, with the grandpa telling him Christmas is the most dangerous time of the year and stuff. Say big homage, but very well done. And then this kid ends up seeing his parents murdered by an escaped mental patient dressed up like Santa Claus. And then when they end up flashing forward 17 years later, he goes back to his family's house for the first time that he left to his crazy Aunt Marion, played by Caroline Williams. And I knew going into this movie that she was going to be the highlight, because I know her acting range. I know what she excels at, and the eccentric, like, older aunt or like mother or anything like that, she kills it all the time. And she's absolutely the MVP of He Sees You When You're Sleeping, like, for sure. Retro Mutant. What's up, buddy? Yeah, I just saw your other thing too. So I switched to my main account. We got Retro Mutant. We got Mellow Mutant. You got to start making just like 10 different accounts. We get like a 12 pack of Mutant, all different flavors. That's what you got to do. Just make a different Mutant. Whatever your mood is that day. If you're feeling mellow, you sign in under that name. You make like 12 different ones for 12 different emotions, and you can't go wrong. But all right, guys. So 7 o'clock. So in 2 hours, we'll be recording that. I can't guess how long it'll go for. It all depends. But I'll just say an hour, just to be like on the side of what it usually is with interviews. So I'm thinking in probably 10:30, 11 o'clock Eastern is when I'll have it up and premiered. So I'll announce it like a good amount of time, at least an hour before the premiere starts, half hour or so. But look forward to that. And then whoever's awake at like midnight or 1, whenever the hell that premiere ends for Carpenter's The Thing, we'll be right back here doing that. But thanks for hanging out, guys. I will see you all later. Take care, guys. Oh, I forgot to say take care, guys, like while I hit the end stream thing. So now I got to talk about nothing until it ends right here. Goodbye. Like at this moment. Not yet. Still didn't happen. That's because it didn't click end stream.